I believe my greatest skill in life is my ability to adapt. It's why I can move to a place like London or Denver or Hawaii and just fit right in immediately. It's why I can handle any problems at the office, any health issues that require my attention, and it's also, perhaps most importantly, it's what allows me to deal with something that catches many of you off guard. That is change. I love change. I thrive with it. And on today's episode, I'm going to tell you about 5 big changes that have happened in my life recently. And I'm also going to explain why I'm the happiest that I've been in some time because of them. Let's get into it. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Found Generation, a self-improvement podcast where on every episode we try to answer this most important question: how do we extract the most out of our lives? And on today's episode, I want to talk to you about the subject of change and the 5 changes that I have made in my life to become the best version of me, which I believe that I'm at right now. So let's waste no time. Let's talk about it. Change is something that a lot of us fear. We are afraid of how we'll adapt. We are afraid of entering into unfamiliar territory. We are afraid of stepping out of our comfort zones. We're afraid of what people will think of us. We're afraid of everything that could go wrong. And so we just stay in the same place with the same people, doing the same things. We are afraid of these massive life changes. But for me, dealing with change is something that I pride myself on. I think my greatest skill in life is my ability to adapt, to enter into unfamiliar circumstances, to take what's been thrown at me, to take the curveballs and just live with it, because I ultimately know that, okay, I maybe don't have control over this scenario that has just played out. This is the new situation. I've just got to deal with it. I remember the first time that I became aware that I could deal with change. This is such a silly example, but I think it's a good illustrator. I was studying abroad in Scotland, the fall of 2016, attending the University of Glasgow. And my flat was about a 30-minute walk from the U of G campus. And there was no bus. There was no way of getting there other than walking or taking a bike. My first inclination was to ride a bike, but then I had to buy a bike as a poor, broke college student who was just living there for 3-4 months. Also, the route to get there, it was very hilly and very busy, so it just also didn't seem like the safest bike route. So I had to walk. And at that moment, I remember freaking out about it. Gosh, you're telling me I have to walk 30 minutes each way? How am I going to plan for that? I've got to bring my raincoat because it's always raining. I'm going to have to go to the gym on campus because once I'm there, I'm going to stay there all day. And so I'm going to have to bring change of clothes. I have to do all this stuff. I'm going to sweat on my way to and from. I might get really wet because of the rain, blah, blah, blah. Like all these things go through my mind. And so for the first 2-3 days, I'm bitching up a storm about how much this sucks. Sounds unlike me, right? But then on day 4, on day 5, after getting a few days under my belt of doing the same thing, of dealing with it, I just figured it out. And I stopped complaining about it. And once you make that little change and you deal with it for just a couple of days, very soon after making that change, you forget what life was like before you made the change. And you ask yourself, is this really what I was so scared of? This change? This was the thing I was fearing? This was the thing I was clutching onto? And so I tell you that story to let you know that, yes, changes are scary. You don't know what's going to happen on the other side of them. But once you do make that change, it often leads you to a better life and also leads you to forget the thing that you were just coming from. So change is not something to be feared. And so on today's episode, I want to tell you about 5 recent changes that I have made in my life and why I'm so freaking happy right now, because I am waking up every day just so excited and energized, and I just feel really good and confident for the most part, which is a departure. I haven't always been the most confident person, so I'm getting that back, and I just feel really excited about the future, optimistic, and I'm so motivated, and I've got so many great things to look forward to, and I think it's because of these 5 changes that I'm about to tell you about. Number 1, diabetes. Okay, Troy, wait, what? You got diagnosed with diabetes and you're happy about it, and this change that you've made has contributed to your life for the better? Yes, let me explain why. So for those of you who don't know, just over a month ago, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I was rushed to the hospital, spent 48 hours in the emergency room. I went there with crazy high blood sugar levels and A1C levels, which you don't know what that means. But that just means I was in a very dark place. And had I gone untreated for a couple more days, something catastrophic could have happened. But after my hospital stay, which was a great time, honestly, the doctors were there. I watched UFC 292. It was a great time. I've got all my insulin. I've got the medication. The first week or so afterwards was pretty rough because I was trying to figure out, listen to my body, okay, how much insulin do I need to inject myself with? How often? What times of day? Went through that learning curve, which was tough, but now I've come out on the other side of it. And now I know what I need to do to make sure that my body stays fairly regular. I know what certain foods do to my body. I've made all of the adjustments, and now I feel freaking amazing, everyone. I'm so excited or happy rather that we identified the problem, because what's even worse is having something wrong with you and not knowing what it is. Because I thought I was depressed. I thought I had an eating disorder, which are both 2 big mental issues with oftentimes very cloudy solutions or very murky solutions. You're not quite sure how to solve them other than talk to this person, take this medicine, change your mindset, which are all untangible things. But then I found out it was diabetes, and the treatment plan is pretty straightforward. Just inject yourself with insulin, take these pills as well. There's a formula to it. And since we've identified what's wrong with me, I have the treatment plan, and I feel amazing. I'm excited. I'm energized. I'm motivated. I've had new life breathed into me. I feel like I have a new lease on life, and I now feel a part of this amazing diabetes community, and everyone has just welcomed me with open arms. I've heard from so many people from a past life of mine over the past few weeks as I've posted about this on social media, YouTube, the podcast, and I realized, wow, that this is something that way more people deal with than I thought. And it's been such an outpouring of support that I've received, and I'm so grateful for it. And it showed me that, hey, I've made this change to my life. Yeah, sure, now I have to inject myself. Now I have to carry some things on me. Now I might have to remove myself from situations to go deal with my issues, like I was last week when I was playing pickup basketball in downtown Portsmouth, and my blood sugar levels dropped during it, and I had to just quickly evacuate and go deal with that. But that's just how it's going to be. I'm not going to sit here and ask why me and cry for myself. I'm just going to adapt to it, deal with the change, come out on the better side of it. Use this negative, turn it into a positive, and create a better life for myself out of it. So I know that's weird. I know a lot of you are probably like, I don't know how you deal with this, Troy, because diabetes sucks. And if I ever got diabetes, I would be in a really bad place. All it takes is a little mindset change, turning obstacles into opportunities. That's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm really glad that I've been diagnosed with diabetes, because it's a change that has really changed my life, but for the better. Number 2, lifting weights. Bet you didn't expect that one. On last Thursday's episode of The Found Generation, I had on my trainers at Seacoast Kettlebell, which is the gym that I'm at here in Portsmouth. Colin and Luke, great guys, fun little episode. It's on the YouTube channel if you want to check it out. So when I first started going there, I went there with the intention of, you know what? It's time to get big. It's time to get swole. I want to lift some weights. I had just actually had a personal trainer in Hawaii a couple months ago where we were focusing on just weightlifting. I was trying to get away from the stuff that I honestly love of HIIT workouts, of running, of yoga, hiking, biking, all that stuff, which is primarily cardio focused. I've done enough cardio in my life. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I love the feeling that comes with getting a really good cardio sesh in, being all sweaty after those 45, 60 minutes, especially after like a nice Peloton ride. Are we kidding? I love that feeling. I love that feeling of accomplishment and seeing the sweat go off my body. And I never in my life, I've been lifting weights forever, but I've never gotten that same thrill, that same rush, that same feeling of accomplishment from lifting weights. So it's something I've always had a complicated relationship with. I've gone in and out of periods with it. So when I was in Hawaii, I was like, I think I just need a trainer to get me on course, to fall in love with this stuff, to maybe show me some stuff that I had never been doing before. And so I got the trainer at the UFC gym in Kailua, and it was wonderful. His name was Ren. Great guy, jacked guy, very attractive Hawaiian man too. And he made me fall in love with it again. He showed me what I was capable of. He showed me what confidence is, because I was lifting weights. I was lifting bigger weights. I was feeling pretty confident. I was walking around Kailua like I was the man. And then I got back from Hawaii, and I kind of got out of the habit again. And then I moved here. I was like, no, I was liking how I was feeling there. I need to get back into it. Don't sign up for just a little gym. Sign up for one where they guide you and walk you through it. And so I found Seacoast Kettlebell. And my favorite part about lifting weights there is that there's some competition, meaning I'm a very competitive person and everyone there is lifting weights. And so I'll see a little old lady lifting a certain amount of weight, and I'm like, I can do that. Why am I lifting less than her? And so then I push myself and I realize, whoa, I'm actually capable of doing these deadlifts with 40-pound kettlebells as opposed to the 25 that I've been restricting myself to. So lifting weights recently here at Seacoast Kettlebell has been huge for me because it's showed me, wow, I'm actually capable of way more than I thought. I've been holding myself back. I haven't been reaching my potential. I'm capable of way more than I thought. I can adapt to this. I can change my mindset with regards to lifting weights. Maybe it's not so big and scary. Maybe it is a really good workout, and maybe you're not doing as much cardio or as much HIIT or getting as much of a sweat in as you used to, but maybe that's a good change. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, Troy, okay. I look fine, and I'm putting on a couple pounds of good weight, which I've been wanting to do for years. And so that change that I've been fearing of, okay, well, if I go into weightlifting and forget the cardio stuff, I'm going to get fat, and I'm going to put on a bunch of pounds, and no one's going to look at me the same, and no girls are going to be into me, blah, blah, blah. Like you run through that rabbit hole, that poisonous rabbit hole down your mind, and then you realize, okay, I'm lifting weights. I'm still eating healthy. I'm still doing all my stuff. I'm still going on some walks. Like, my body composition isn't changing at all. In fact, it's only changing for the better, because you know why? Because lifting weights is the best way to actually burn fat and carve out a lean, sculpted body. So lifting weights has been huge for me. The third change, to explain why I'm just so freaking happy right now, is I'm an author, guys. Can you believe it? I still can't believe it. When I see it written out on a website, or when someone introduces me on their podcast that I am an author, that is still just the craziest thing to me. I'm an author of this book over here that you see, Surrender, A Guide to Living Your Best Life in Your 20s. I've talked about it a lot on the show, so I won't bore you with the details, but I am so proud of it. I'm so happy to have achieved this thing, which is a gargantuan task. It is a task that I was fearing for years, something that I was so afraid of getting into, because when you're writing a book, well, where do you even start? There's so many unknowns to it. Is any publisher going to pick this up? Is anyone going to be interested? Is anyone going to read it? Am I good enough to write it? Do I have enough willpower and discipline to sit down and write this thing? Because the writing process, especially the book writing process, is an unforgiving one for the most part, because you write something and then you're like, dang it, this sucks. This did not go where I wanted it to. Then you run through again all the rabbit holes in your mind. Am I good enough? Should I not be doing this? Will anyone care? Is this a reflection of me? Am I just not a good writer? Am I never going to achieve my dreams? Am I never going to do things I set out to do? All the self-doubt pops into your mind in the writing process. And so that certainly happened with me. But we got through it. I got through all of it. It took a while. This book took way longer to put out than it should. That's on me, because I kept going in and out of the book writing process. But I'm a published author, and I can now wear that badge proudly. And I now have kind of an air of authority to go on other podcasts, to maybe go on stage, to do guest articles, to put out videos on YouTube about this very subject that I love so much of self-improvement, or as some of you say, self-help, which I think kind of has a negative, corny connotation to it. I like the self-improvement. It sounds more positive. But this is a massive change that I've made to my life recently, and I think it's going to change my life forever, because now you can't take it away from me. Now this gives me the confidence to write a second book and a third book and a fourth book. And I know I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this anyway because I'm honest. This book right here, Surrender, this will be the worst book that I ever write. I wanted to get a first book out there fully knowing that this is going to be bad. This is not going to be my best work. This is not going to be a reflection of what's inside of me. But I just wanted to get it out there, just to prove to myself that I could do it, that I could go through the process fully knowing that, okay, this is just to prove to myself I can get it out there. I'll write many more that are better than this, but everyone has a first bad book in them. So I did it. And now I know the process. Now I have the confidence. Now I know that people are reading this and they are enjoying it. And thank you to everyone who's purchased it and who has given me some feedback on it. I really appreciate that. But because of this change that I've made in my life, becoming an author, I think the floodgates are just about to open for me. I really am dying to speak on stage. I'm dying to speak to large crowds of people. I've always seen that in the cards for me. I've grown up dreaming about performing for people. When you ask me, Troy, what do you want to do with your life? Well, I've never had a specific answer that I can point to, but I've always known that I just love performing for people. It's where I've always felt my happiest, whether that was playing basketball in front of the Shen crowd, whether that was playing baseball, whether that was singing the national anthem solo before my own basketball games, whether that was performing in concerts like the Rudder Requiem, whether that was being on air of my own radio show at the University of Albany, whether that was, that is being on the Ringer MMA show on Spotify, or doing the Found Generation podcast, writing for Substack, writing in my book. These creating things, these performing things, I don't feel whole when I'm not doing them. I don't feel like myself. And so I'll go away from the podcast for a time, from Substack for a time, and it'll be gnawing at me the whole time. Go podcast. Go write. This is who you are. This is what you need to do to be your best you, to be your happiest you. And now I'm at a place of no return. I'm never going to not create again. That's just not who I want to be. So I'm going to keep writing books. I'm going to keep putting out videos like the one you're watching right now. I'm going to keep podcasting. I'm going to keep creating. This has been a major change to my life, this whole author thing. Now I feel empowered and inspired and confident enough to put myself out there on TikTok and on YouTube and to just talk my shit, tell my story, not be afraid, not give in to the insecurity, not let your perception of me or your potential perception of me, which I always think is negative, even though it's probably not going to let that deter me anymore from saying what I know to be true in my heart. Number 4. All right, I'm going to speak really softly on this one because there's certain people that maybe shouldn't hear this. I've completely detached from my job, and this has been a massive change for me that is paving dividends for my happiness. I was on a podcast conversation recently. It actually hasn't aired yet. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they thought I was bad, but one of the guys, either Mark or Eric, they're in their 40s and 50s, said something very wise to me, and it was about removing your sense of purpose from your job, not trying to attach purpose to your day job and the thing that you're doing every day. That was something that really spoke to me because that's something that I've learned over the last couple of years. When I was working at ESPN, they screwed me over, and when I ultimately left there, I felt shattered. I felt like my sense of identity had been lost because I had wrapped up my identity and my self-worth in the 4 letters. So when they got rid of me, essentially, or made me walk out the door, I felt lost. And I learned that lesson then, to not attach your identity to what you do. So let's fast forward to where I'm now at Spotify. I love the company. I love the branding. I love the app. I love the message. I love the vision. I love the leadership team. I enjoy working for the company. I love going to the office. I take a lot of pride in working for Spotify and reaching the fans and working on the Ringer MMA show and working on Cheap Heat, the pro wrestling podcast, and interacting with all the fans. But I've detached myself from it, in meaning that I don't care about the next promotion. I don't care about that extra zero on the paycheck. I don't care about the title. I don't care about trying to stay there for 15, 20 years and like build myself up to become the next Daniel Ek. All I care about is just doing a good job and doing what I've been asked to do. I'm not going to give 120% because I did that at ESPN and they screwed me over. So why would I do that for Spotify despite how much I love them? This mindset allows me to not waste a bunch of time trying to do all these little things to try to move up because I ultimately don't care about it because I'm getting so much fulfillment and meaning from what I'm doing to you right now, from the podcast, from the book, from the Substack, from the fun social media videos and the Instagram posts. Like, I'm getting so much fun and enjoyment from that. The best part about it is I'm not making a dime off of it because I don't need to. Because the best part about it is when you're doing something on the side that you really like, is your bases are met. My podcasting career is, like my podcast producing career at Spotify is doing wonders for me. So this stuff right now, I don't need to stress about how I can extract a penny from you. I don't need to stress about how I can make this video, like more like clickbaity to sell your attention. I don't need to write the best book ever, which I don't believe this book is. I don't need to write the best book ever because I'm not trying to make a livelihood out of it. I'm not trying to support myself. So I've detached from my job, which has allowed me to put more eggs in this basket, not because I need to make money, but just because I want to change the world. I have big dreams, everyone, and I want to show people the light. I want to show people what happiness feels like. I want to show people what they're capable of. I want to show all of you guys that there is a path, there is a better way, there is something that you can do to change your life today by going through these changes and not being afraid of them and getting out of your comfort zone. I want to be an inspiration to all of you. And because I've detached from my job, because I've made that recent change, it's changed the game for me and my mindset, and I'm not getting down about work things because I ultimately don't care about them as much anymore. This is the stuff I care about, and I'm just so happy that I've been able to make this change, because once you detach from your job, I know that sounds morbid and your bosses might not want to hear it, but I use the word morbid a lot, don't I? Because that's really like not a morbid thing. That was an improper use of that word. But moral of the story, detach from your job, put your meaning in something else. Number 5, I've got a girlfriend. Wow. What, Troy? Who is this lucky lady? Where does she come from? I'm not sure if she wants me to reveal her name, so I'm not going to do that, but we'll call her Frog Girl. Why are we calling her Frog Girl? Because on our first date, she made no fewer than 30 references to frogs. She loves amphibians, has an unhealthy obsession with amphibians. At first, when we went on our first date, which was, a hinge date, unfortunately, I wish we had a better meeting story. She talked a lot about frogs then. And at first, I was like, this is weird, or is this a cute quirk? Is this a red flag? I don't know. She was really nice and sweet. We had a great time, so I let it slide, but I was definitely closely monitoring the situation. And then we kept talking, more dates. She did some really nice gestures for me, especially when I got diabetes and when the book came out. And she's just a sweetheart. And we just did a first road trip together this past weekend, and she became my girlfriend. So that's another reason why I'm so freaking happy right now. It's my first girlfriend in my adult life. I had a high school girlfriend, high school/college girlfriend, and I was seeing a girl in Portsmouth last year for a while, but that never became official. But this one's official, and I feel really good about it. It's freaking scary. I have no idea how you people get in long-term relationships or get married or have children, because that sounds so scary to me. I have such commitment issues. If you can't tell, it's why like I move somewhere every 3 months, and I'm like, I'm scared. And I mean, now I have a year lease in Portsmouth, and I'm like, get me out of here already. I'm already thinking of ways to get out of this after 6 months. So I have no idea how people do this relationship thing. This is a massive change for me that, yeah, I'm a bit scared about, but I'm also excited about taking this step and seeing how I am in a relationship and seeing what kind of partner I can be. And so I'm really excited for what I've got going on with Frog Girl. Maybe some of you will get to meet her soon. She's a sweetheart. She has a sick job, and she's a bit older than me, so she's much more mature than me and has lots to teach me, and she's just awesome. And so that's a reason why I've got a big smile on my face today, because she makes me happy, and I'm excited to lean on someone else, which I've never done. I'm so independent and do so many things for myself. I'm so self-motivated, so self-driven that I've never really needed anyone else, and I still don't, but I am excited to actually loosen the reins in my own life a little bit and let someone else take control and share this beautiful life that I have with someone else. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, it'll probably blow up in my face, but we'll see how it goes. All right, to close out the show, we've got our little Q&A segment. Thank you to those of you who are submitting questions. If you want to do it, hit me up on Instagram at Troy_Farkas. That is Farkas. Today's question comes from Jillian. Jillian asks, quite simply, where should I live next? I've lived in Boston for the last 5 years, and I'm just ready to make a change. Well, Jillian, I love moving, so this is a great question. I don't have enough info on your situation, so I'll just throw out a couple options for where you should move. One, I would say, most importantly, go where your people are. Now, I don't know if your people, this is your family, your closest friends, or your romantic partner. I don't know what your situation is. So if they're in Boston and you're going away from them, I'll offer you a suggestion in a moment. But if they're not there, I would suggest going where they are. Of everywhere I've lived, I thought, okay, Denver, for example. Denver looks like exactly the kind of place that I would want to live in. The mountains, the beer scene, the coffee scene, the like just kind of the mentality out there in Colorado, I really vibe with. And so I thought moving to Denver would be the answer to all of my problems. The problem was when I moved there, I wasn't happy because none of my people were there. I had one or two like distant friends who lived there and one family member, but kind of, not even my family, my dad's best friend, my de facto uncle. But it wasn't enough for me. And so I felt really lonely out there. I felt like I didn't belong. And so I wasn't happy there. So I would urge you to move where your people are, to move where the people that you've grown up with are, your college roommates, your family, your extended family, coworkers that you really vibe with. Move where they are, because when you move to a new place, it's so overwhelming. It's so scary. And you can get really lonely really fast and really depressed really fast. I've been there, and I don't want you to make that mistake, Jillian. So go where your people are. Or you can go where your work is. I don't know what your industry is, but go where a lot of people in your job are. Like if you work in tech, go to San Francisco. If you work in media, go to New York City. If you work in influencing, go to Los Angeles. If you, again, or like startups, go to Austin, Texas. If you really, if you work in the music industry, go to Nashville, like all these kinds of things, right? Go where there's a lot of creative people or a lot of people who work in your field that you can learn from, that you can vibe with. There would be so many networking opportunities. I would also suggest that you take a look into that. I would push against going where you think your people are. I thought my people would be in Denver. I was wrong. I do just want to add a caveat to that. So I hope that helps you, Jill. Very exciting. If you're in Boston, like let's hang out soon. I'm in Boston all the time. But we are out of time for today's episode. Thank you to everyone who has listened, who has watched. You can comment on this video if you've got any thoughts. If you want to support the show, the number one best way to do that, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on Spotify, give the show a follow on Spotify, because I love Spotify so much. Apple Podcasts too, you can listen on, but we don't like them as much. Happy Monday, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. I love all of you. Thank you for the support to the bottom of my heart. I hope that this episode has inspired you to maybe make some changes to your life. If you've got any feedback, let me know. I'm still figuring out this podcasting thing. I've been doing it for 3 years, and I'm still trying to figure out the best approach. So any feedback is appreciated. Have a great week, everyone. Mwah. I'll talk to you soon.